And so the role of the state in the cocoa chain, that would be, put you on the spot a little bit on that, but also just any other comments or responses to what you've just heard.
In commodity boards, at least in the cocoa sector, are minimum, and there's only one major player in this sector, which is in Ghana. It is a government-controlled cocoa board. They don't depend on the Ministry of Agriculture. They depend on the Ministry of Finance. So that is a simple message on how important it is for the country as such, that board. In Ghana, it has worked because they've had it for many years. They're very well implemented, and part of their marketing scheme, they are giving a good allowance and a good investment back to the sector in providing inputs, in building infrastructure, and in a year in advance, farmers know how much cocoa is going to be paid at the end of the year. So it's very transparent in that way. They have a good capacity and on technical people who visit farms, and a good group of experienced cocoa field in people, and it has worked in that country. In other countries, the results are mixed. Sometimes World Bank or IFC have suggested different countries to abolish those parastatals that haven't been effective. In some other countries, taxes are a big burden on farmers. In some countries, cocoa is such a major player for the economy that it's taxed heavily, and that comes to the bottom line of the farmers, unfortunately. So I think some of those countries are going into those structural changes that are needed, because farmers are really paying the burden there on those taxations in situations. There's the case of Indonesia, that last year, second largest producer of cocoa in the world, they put in a policy where export of cocoa beans would be levied at X percentage. So what happened, everybody's building facilities and factories in Indonesia to increase grinding capacity in the country. So now the product is living as a semi-elaborated product, but not as cocoa beans. So a lot of investments have occurred in Indonesia over the last 3-4 years, simply because of a new taxing policy that was implemented in that country. My last point, just to echo Led, is on this merge between private sector and USAID and different donors has evolved, and I see it from a very microscopic level in the cocoa world. But I see that nowadays projects have big M&E programs, big indicators. This wasn't the case 10-15 years ago, where it was only counting the number of farmers trained. That is not enough anymore.